Spider-Man No Way Home is the 27th MCU film and is probably the most anticipated movie of this year. I don't want to say of all time quite yet because I don't think I can ever answer that question. But yes, Spider-Man No Way Home has been rumored about and speculated on and made TikToks of and YouTube video and analysis of the trailers, the teasers, the Twitter, whatever you want to say. Spider-Man No Way Home has been hotly anticipated by every Spider-Man fan, including myself. I necessarily haven't been the most hyped about it, especially seeing some of the trailers. I don't know. I didn't get swept up into it like I have with some other movies this year. I'm glad that aspect of film hasn't been lost on me. I was a little worried that last year kind of killed that feeling. But no, there's been a decent amount of movies, and I guess you included this one where I've been pretty excited. It's just I didn't feel the hype as some other people did. But I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Him and Batman go back and forth between my two favorite superheroes of all time. As you can see right here, I have the Steelbook of like all the newer ones, and then Spider-Man 1. And I have Spider-Man 2 and 3, also on Blu-ray. Yeah, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, pretty big MCU fan. It all fits. I was very excited for this film. And let's get right into it I'm going to do my negatives first because, yeah, I was slightly disappointed with the movie at first. And I want to preface that. At first, the movie wasn't really wowing me. Especially like the first act, I want to say, I was really not the biggest fan of. It felt way too much like a standard Marvel movie at first. It was fun, nicely paced, high-flying action. Tom Holland was pretty good. All the performances were, standard. The story was heading in the direction I thought it would be. Doctor Strange was a nice addition. No spoilers. Obviously, this is going to be a completely spoiler-free review. I am for sure going to be seeing this movie again. I might do a spoiler review then as well, but I'm not sure what my plans are for that yet. But absolutely no spoilers in this. So anything that is not already shown in the trailers, I will not be talking about. Anyway, so it had some interesting ideas, but it really left me wanting a lot more. I was sitting there and kind of just thinking, this is fine. Like this is pretty good. This is definitely a quality Marvel film, but I don't know. It just wasn't special enough. It wasn't this big event movie like Infinity War was, or even I felt more out of Black Widow really in the first act of that movie, and I really enjoyed Black Widow. Don't get me wrong, but like this movie should be a lot more than I was feeling like it was. It felt very by the books at first. It felt very samey feeling, and I went and saw this with Cam and my best friend. So and I feel like they kind of feel the same way that as I did towards the first act. It was very just feeling like the same thing, which was pretty disappointing at first. The first act, I will wholeheartedly admit, was disappointing. The dialogue especially was really leaning into this like kind of cornball writing. It was super cheesy at first. It was really taking me out of the mood. I understand. So I will never be one of those people that is like, Marvel isn't real cinema. It's all corny bullshit. I am very much obviously not that kind of person. I love Marvel movies. I love comic book movies. I love comic books. I love superheroes. All that good stuff. I am wholeheartedly aware of how cheesy they are, but like them for that. But this movie especially, I feel like it was trying to take itself seriously, but undercutting that by still trying to be a fun, lighthearted Marvel movie. This movie is a mess. It is a complete and utter mess, and it has strengths through that, and it has a decent amount of weaknesses through that. So I felt like the writing, at times, especially towards the first 30, 40 minutes of the movie, really was taking me out of it. Some dialogue was just, whew, come on, man. And I don't know, some of the performances also really weren't that great by the supporting cast. Again, I'm not going to spoil who's in this movie, but I don't know, really, a lot of things let me down. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to talk my mind here. Some things let me down, especially in the first third of this movie, where I was just kind of, that's disappointing. Oh, that's a waste of potential. Oh, that's not what I would have done, not what I would have liked to have seen, which was a bummer because I wasn't hating what I was seeing. I wasn't actively like, this is terrible, this is worse than Thor: The Dark World. No, I was liking what I was seeing, but it felt way too small scale. It felt way too by the books up to that point. And the Marvel quips. Oh my god, the Marvel quips were very heavily in this movie, and some of them were good. Some of them, I will give credit to the writers of this movie. I'm not sure if like 1,000 people wrote this movie, like the other two MCU Spider-Man movies. I'm sure they did, but some of the quips in this movie are okay. I thought some of them got me and were pretty funny, but some of them were really bad. Some of them, I'm very much am getting sick of the constant need for humor in Marvel movies. You can tone it down a little bit. And to Marvel's credit, both Black Widow and Shang-Chi, very much so, have scaled that back a lot. They very much, I don't know, don't heavily lean into them. But this movie, it is a pretty big flaw I have with this one, where it's constant with them. And some of them are good, and some of them are really, really bad. And to me, it was feeling way too much like a wasted concept. I was just sitting there thinking, man, if this is what the rest of the movie is going to be like, I'm really going to be disappointed by this thing, because this is just another Spider-Man movie. It was feeling like just another Spider-Man movie. It was a mess. It had some good elements to it. Tom Holland was really good. A lot of the visual things were really good, which I'll talk about my positives in a little bit. But I was really, really feeling disappointed. I was feeling let down through the first good chunk of this movie, and I was scared. I was really scared that I wasn't going to like No Way Home. I was like, am I just not going to like this movie? Is this going to be a disappointment? Am I going to give No Way Home a B-? What? Yeah, and I was feeling that way for a good chunk of the movie. Thankfully, though, that was not the case for the second and third act. Once the movie began to pick up things in terms of plot and pacing and storyline, I really started to enjoy it. Yes, thank God, I do really like No Way Home. Tom Holland really does give a great performance here. I don't want to undercut that. He definitely gives his best performance here as Spider-Man. The thing is, I like Tobey Maguire. He's my Spider-Man, I guess. He's the guy that I'm always like, that's Spider-Man. But Tom Holland, I don't know. He took a while to warm up to. I never hated him as the Spider-Man. I never was actively disliking him. He just was, yeah, that's Peter Parker. That's Peter Parker. He nails it. He's pretty good. Enjoyable enough. But this one, I think he really gives a lot of emotion. I think he really hones in the overwhelmness that Spider-Man feels in this movie, the amount of crushing anxiety that comes with this kind of story, and I think he nails it. I think he nails every beat perfectly, and really plays a good Spider-Man. He's always played a really good Peter Parker, but in this, he is a very good Spider-Man, and I think that's something to be praised about. Visually very ambitious. This movie, I think, even goes a step farther than Far From Home, which I do really like Far From Home. I know a lot of people aren't big fans of that movie, and I understand why, but I really do enjoy that film. I think I would give it like a pretty strong B+, or maybe even an A-, depending on the day. Anyway, that movie visually was great, and I think this movie matches that and even excels it in sometimes. John Watts has been the biggest problem I have had with these new Spider-Man movies. His direction has been so bland and so flat and so lifeless and so sucked of all personality, I feel like. But with this one, I thankfully can say he did a pretty good job. I really liked his visual flair here. I think there was more scenes where the camera work was more fluid, and you could definitely see more scenes that were pulled out a little more. You got to see these cool landscapes and these cool visual things that were going on. They weren't just the standard Marvel medium close-up every single shot. So I really thought that John Watts did a pretty good job here, thankfully. Action sequences were endlessly entertaining. I was wowed by pretty much all of them. I did sit in the front row of the movie theater, and that was not very fun, and the movie looked very distorted for a while. Excuse me. It's the popcorn coming back up. But I really did like a lot of this movie from a visual standpoint, and the action sequences was a ton of fun. I love Spider-Man mainly for the fact that I think not only does he has some really great villains that make for these cool action sequences, but the way he fights them is always so entertaining to watch, especially on film. So yeah, I'm a sucker for this kind of action sequences. I really really did enjoy them. And the movie's twists and turns, which again I am not going to mention here. I am not going to talk about any spoilers in this movie. Are good. I thought all of them were really great. They were a little ruined by people cheering in the movie theater. I thought, oh, it was so lame and something I did not miss at all. I totally forgot about. But now that people are kind of going back to see this movie, it was so much secondhand embarrassment. I don't want to be that guy that's like negative towards that, but man, it was pretty bad. Especially when some of the obvious things that were confirmed to happen happened, and they would all start like cheering, and it was lame. It was very lame. But it doesn't have to do with anything in the movie. The twists and turns work. They all work within the story. I think this story, for how messy it is and how many elements are thrown at you at once, is handled pretty well. I thought from a screenwriting aspect, other than the dialogue, this movie worked for me. I think a lot of the pacing, a lot of the plot really was handled well for, again, as messy as it is. Because I'm not really saying messy as a negative, because it can be a flaw sometimes. This movie, at points, really doesn't know what to do with itself. It really, it's like, oh, we have this cool thing, we need to do something with it, and it kind of just scrambles. But a lot of the times it knows what you can tell the writers knew what they were doing with this thing. They really handled like the multiverse well. It is a miracle, I think, this movie worked as well as it did because of how just ambitious and almost never before seen. I mean, and Spider-Verse exists, Infinity War exists, so it's been done before, but this movie is in a very specific way. I think it's super ambitious and very, very, very new for us to see, and I think it works. Again, I cannot talk about spoilers, but that is as much as I can hint to in this review. The weight of the emotional moments also hit pretty hard. I felt like a lot of the scenes that you almost saw coming, basically. People are going to die in this movie. I know, that's not a spoiler, though. Everybody knows people are going to die in a big Marvel film like this. This movie very much handles those emotional beats extremely well. They don't ever feel corny. They don't ever feel forced. They don't ever feel, okay, here's the token emotional moment. I thought they were handled really well, especially driven by Tom Holland's performance. And the performances around him, especially Zendaya, was pretty good in this movie, I thought. I think that's what really made the movie have a center. The action sequences are cool. The twists and turns are great. This being such a Spider-Man fans movie, I thought was phenomenal. I think it's just soaked in fanfare, but in the best way possible. And it really made me happy as a Spider-Man fan. How old was I? Like 7 years old when I loved the Tobey Maguire movies original. The 7-year-old in me loved this movie from front to back. But I felt like as a Spider-Man fan, it hit every single beat I wanted it to. But at the center was some really good emotion, and that I thought they pulled off well. And it's not something that is really handled well in a lot of other Marvel movies. So that's definitely something that makes No Way Home stick out. I thought it had an excellent third act too. This third act is what was the home run hit. I was still liking the movie a lot in the second act. It really picked up. I was like, okay, this is what I want. Let's stick the landing here, and it did. This movie really, really made me happy by the end of it. Even though it is very sad and emotional towards the end, I was like, that's what I wanted. They did it exactly how, not exactly how I wanted it to end, but they did it in a way that was satisfying. This movie's ending was extremely satisfying, and I was like, that worked. It's wrapped up in a nice bow, but also leaves room for other Spider-Man movies in the future. That's exactly what I wanted right there. Couldn't have been happier with the third act of this movie. It really, really makes it worth seeing. So yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home, I have a lot of complicated thoughts on it. I really do, but I really like it for the most part. Again, if I see it again, that opinion could very, very easily change. I could like it a lot more. I could like it a lot less. I don't know. But for right now, I do really, really like No Way Home, despite its surpious amount of flaws. It has a decent amount of flaws to it, but honestly, I really do enjoy Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm going to give it a B plus. So let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Sorry for the little break. I promise, like, this isn't like last year where I just completely don't watch any new movies, anything like that. I've been really working hard on a lot of other projects, but new releases that I want to see are starting to come out. I'm going to see Nightmare Alley. I'm going to see Licorice Pizza. The Pixar movie that came out, I don't remember the name, but I think it's coming on Disney Plus soon, so I'll review that. All that will be done. Then I'm going to do my big roundup review, and then in January will be the year-end list. So, yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.